Boom, and welcome back, everybody. So, first things first, I guess this is really short one, but thanks to a viewer, of course, just here earlier in live chat, we were made aware that we have an announcement on Mark Zuckerberg's Facebook page that Meta starts trading today. Specifically, 1 hour ago, he made a post on his Facebook page that says, "We trade under $Meta starting today." Now, I don't know if you guys want to invest in Meta or not. Of course, they've been pushing towards the VR kind of Meta realm for quite some time with the purchase of Oculus over at Facebook. I haven't personally been a fan. I don't want to log into my Oculus device with a Facebook login to then play in VR mode. I have trust issues with Facebook, but it is what it is, like these are the paths that we take. And to a certain extent, as far as like Meta's success, I guess there is a lot of potential there. It's interesting, the timing, of course, because as far as the entire cryptocurrency market, it's down. That may be a good sign for a big project like that, though, if you buy something like that and hold it. I'm not a trader, so I don't really have too much of a dog in this fight, nor do I have too much of a dog in the fight of Meta as it sits, but I'd be curious what you guys think about it. Let's get into the Optimism hack, though. $15 million worth of Optimism tokens stolen by an attacker after Wintermute set wrong wallet address. Now, for the uninitiated, by the way, I guess we should explain what Optimism is. Optimism is a roll-up solution for Ethereum to provide scaling. It's a way to reduce fees and increase transactions for the Ethereum blockchain, but not run directly on layer 1. The theft, which follows the OP token's botched airdrop, sent the token price to new lows. Ethereum scaling solution Optimism announced Wednesday that attackers stole $15 million in OP governance tokens. Optimism intended to send the funds to a crypto market maker, but they fell into the wrong hands when the market maker Wintermute provided Optimism's team with an incorrect blockchain address. In a statement Wednesday, Wintermute CEO Evgeny, something like that, took responsibility for allowing the theft, said, "We made a serious error." The attack followed a difficult couple of weeks for Optimism, whose botched OP token airdrop sent the token's price tumbling in its first hours. The OP token fell an additional 20% after Wednesday's news, according to the most recent data from CoinMarketCap. In a blog post published on Wednesday, which we have pulled up here, right here, where we'll get the summary, Optimism's team explained that it sent 20 million OP tokens to crypto market makers Wintermute 2 weeks ago in preparation for the much-hyped OP token airdrop. The funds came from the Optimism Foundation's partner fund, and Wintermute explained that the money, which came as a loan, would have been used to provide liquidity in the OP token upon its listing on centralized exchanges. An opportunity for an attack came when Wintermute gave the wrong wallet address to Optimism. The money was supposed to be held in a multi-signature wallet belonging to the Wintermute team. But the address provided by Wintermute was for a wallet on Ethereum, whereas it should have been an address on Optimism. He said that Wintermute sought to retrieve the lost funds after noticing what happened, but an attacker beat it to the punch, draining the full 20 million OP tokens into a fresh Optimism wallet belonging to the attacker. The attacker cashed out 1 million of the stolen OP tokens into Ethereum, and it then transferred those funds to an unknown address via Tornado Cash, a tool that allows people to send and receive funds with a scrambled source. The remaining 19 million tokens are still in the attacker's wallet. So long as they stay in the attacker's wallet, the attacker will have the ability to vote on Optimism community governance proposals. Quote, "We are not sure why they chose not to liquidate all of the tokens at once," end quote, he said in a statement. I do want to point out, this is a problem with basically governance tokens or governance structures that will affect, I mean, obviously more stringently, I think, like proof of stake, where bad actors can come in with either hash rate on a proof of work network, or they can come in with, of course, a majority of whatever token there is to influence governance votes. Things like, now this doesn't apply to Ethereum as much, but Bitcoin, for example, on a proof of work network, where they can vote on changes on the network. And I think that that can be a pretty big problem when we start talking about how you handle governance, because if you have hash rate, at least it's a little bit more difficult from a proof of work standpoint to take enough of the hash rate on the network if governance is run by the miners to make significant changes that may be detrimental to whatever network that may be. It's a little different with Optimism, but it's a fair point when we start talking about proof of work versus proof of stake. I think, let me know what you guys think, of course. There is hope that it is a white hat exploit. However, we are currently operating under the premise that is not the case. Optimism is a layer 2 rollup chain for Ethereum, a separate blockchain that can process transactions, bundle them up, and pass them back down to Ethereum. It helps to scale Ethereum's layer 1 network through quick transactions and lower fees. The protocol, which has over $350 million in total value locked, according to DeFi Llama, made headlines last month when it announced that it would be embarking on a much-hyped transition to community governance. As a part of its community handover, Optimism planned to airdrop its new OP tokens to active members of the Ethereum community. It baffles my mind, just in general, that after all of the failures with airdrops in accordance with especially governance from the last bull run, that people would think that it's a good idea in the first place anyways. If you guys don't remember all of the issues with airdrops across 2016 to 2018, I highly recommend you just look up, basically try to go through like the time machine, like an archive.org, and look up all the projects that attempted airdrops, especially as it pertained to governance, and how poorly a majority of them were handled, as well as how poorly they ended up playing out. It kind of, like I said, it baffles my mind that this day and age in crypto that they would think that this was a good idea in the first place. Because even if it does go through and it goes to the right people, it typically doesn't end up playing out very well anyways, right? So I don't know. It's weird. After noticing the error, Optimism sent an additional 20 million OP tokens to Wintermute. This time, Wintermute was required to put up $50 million in USDC as collateral. Optimism's decision to continue working with Wintermute has drawn the ire of some members of crypto Twitter, and as has its decision to hold off on disclosing the attack until 2 weeks after the fact. As for how Optimism will handle the stolen funds moving forward, it says that the decision will be left to its community. Theoretically, the funds can be restored to the Optimism Foundation via a hard fork of the chain. So we're talking about literally like a repeat of the DAO hack for Ethereum back in the day, where they just go ahead and hard fork to recover the funds instead of, receiving those funds back from the attacker, or saying, okay, well, we messed up the chain and we move forward. This is really not playing out good, I think, from a PR perspective for cryptocurrency. And it all surrounds, of course, the method in which governance is handled, the method in which consensus is handled. And frankly, I feel like it's time and time again, we look at anything that tries to move away from proof of work and how secure they are, and anything especially that moves away from proof of work that also has some sort of figurehead or governance board that is not basically reliant on consensus, and you end up having these situations happen over and over again. You have the Solana deal, we have Terra UST now, and now we have this, right? So it's extremely disappointing, but I think it does just go back to prove out that like if you, man, like it makes me want to be a Bitcoin maximalist. It goes back to just proving out that like you can't have some sort of VC led, board led coin that is also like functioning off of some sort of anything outside of proof of work. Like we could go into the minute details of what makes Solana not quite proof of stake because it's proof of history, or we could go into Cardano and talk about how it's changed the way it handles proof of stake and it's not truly proof of stake, whatever. However you want to go through all of those things. I feel like those are all semantics at the end of the day, and you have proof of work where you require people to run hardware on the network to validate transactions and find consensus as well as handle governance, or you don't. We'll just put it that way. We could put it all in the bucket of proof of stake, but you either have that, which is proven and works, or you don't have that. And that's it. That's kind of what I'm getting to at this point. Wintermute, for its part, says it's monitoring the attacker's address, will proceed to buy OP every time the attacker sells it to make the protocol whole eventually. And, you know, the thing is like they probably are going to fork. It's not going to be good for Optimism. And then if we're looking at layer 2 rollups, you know, for Ethereum, like we know that Ethereum, for example, has pushed off sharding. Now there is the possibility of dank sharding in the future, right? We covered that yesterday, sure. But their current plan moving forward is to leverage these roll-ups, layer 2 roll-up solutions for their scalability. And the two big ones that were on top is Arbitrum and then, of course, Optimism. So if you're looking at it from that perspective, you really only have Arbitrum left over at this point. And I think moving forward, like recovering from something like this, unless the attacker just decides to give everything back to the developers here, it like a hard fork's not going to play out well. It just isn't, right? I don't see it playing out well. Now they do have this entire, it's linked down below. They have a message to the community. We kind of got a good summary off of CoinDesk, but there is kind of more going on. And I think that's important because some of the details kind of point to some weird stuff going on. And it's covered here by Yov.eth on Twitter, I believe. Hopefully I have the right one pulled up, but he says, interesting, the attacker waited 4 days between finding and exploiting, taking a risk that Wintermute will deploy the proxy during that time to access the tokens. The proxy implementation was deployed 7 days ago, funded via Tornado Cash, and used 3 days ago. The attacker noticed 20 million in OP with no contract deployed. Same address has Gnosis safe proxy on mainnet. Also notices that it was deployed 2 years ago via the deployer's create proxy, which uses create rather than create2. Create only uses the deployer's nonce to set the address. Had Wintermute used create proxy with nonce instead of create proxy, the developer would have used create2 and the attack would have failed. Attacker just needed to skip some nonces to create a proxy at the right address. Asked deployer to create 162 proxies in a single transaction. Number 135 was a winner, taking over Wintermute's address. But here's the odd part. This happened 3 days ago, but the master copy for these proxies was deployed 7 days ago. Funded via Tornado 7 days ago, then deployed the contract, waited 4 days, and hijacked Wintermute's proxy. Why wait 4 days? And the plot thickens. As I was writing this explainer, the attacker delegated the 1 million OP voting power to me. Thank you for delegating. Hint, no, I'm not the attacker, and I don't know who is, but now guessing it's a white hat. So why would it be a white hat would be my question. There's a lot going on here that is under question, I guess, is essentially why I want to bring this up. I think we had one more too here. Hold on. And most of this is coming from the Rocket Chat and Zappa. So I want to thank Zappa for posting a lot of this to give us all the updates that we need here. I think, hold on. Let me see if I had one more set of tweets. I thought, maybe not. Is it this one? Yeah, so this explains why it's more like the DAO hack. This slip up is essentially the DAO hack type moment for Optimism. 10% of the circulating OP token supply is in limbo, except this time no hard fork, it seems. But we are hearing now that a hard fork is probably the way they're going to solve this. But rather a strongly worded message by the affected market. They said you have 1 week to consider being a white hat. In the case above doesn't happen, we are 100% committed to returning all the funds, tracking the persons responsible for the exploit, fully doxing them, and delivering them to the corresponding judicial system. Jeez, I can't talk today. Remember that robbers need to get lucky every time. Cops only have to get lucky once. They're just using that. This is not a code is law theoretical argument. I mean, it is. This is you taking a bag with cash that was left behind by a careless person. Us being careless still leaves you as a criminal. We are already started investigating the potential leads in certain cases, stopping short of informing respective law enforcement agencies. Consider your options and choose to be good and optimistic instead of living in fear. That's funny. Yeah, there you go. Like I said, I think I pretty much covered what I think as far as this goes. I think this spells out bad, obviously, for rollups in general being the scaling solution for Ethereum. I think it will significantly impact Ethereum as well. Because remember, we're not sharding anymore. Other than this dream of possibly dank sharding way off later on in the future. I hope you enjoyed this clip from the Crypto Mining Morning Show every Monday through Friday, 7:45 a.m. Pacific and 10:45 a.m. Eastern Time. You can check out more clips here, or if you're interested in checking out the entire live show, you can check that out down here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next Tuesday.